Hello there and welcome to another episode of your most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show here on Citi TV and I am your host, Michael Ogbodu. In the next 1 hour, I'll be bringing you a wrap of all the top business stories for the week. So if you're ready, let's go. We really are in tough times. Inflation is on the rise. The cost of living is also up. Fuel prices are skyrocketing and the list goes on and on and on. But for the minority in Parliament, the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is to blame for the country's misfortunes. They believe getting him out of office will help turn things around. They planned on doing so using parliamentary procedure. But how did that fare?
Today in Parliament, the minority group sought the House to pass a vote of censure against Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. To be able to do this, they needed 183 members of Parliament to vote yes, and this would have been the two-thirds of the total number of MPs in the House. The minority currently has 136 members, excluding Asin North MP Jachi Kwesin. For the majority side, there are a few options available to them to either stay away from proceedings or stay in the House and totally abstain from voting. We'll now take you into the chamber and show you exactly what happened. Even before proceedings began, the majority group, who for some weeks have been clamoring for the finance minister to either resign or be removed from office, held a press conference. Let's now go and take a listen to what they said.
Minister of Finance will not be the one who must read the budget and must not be the one who will do the appropriation. We are here this morning to say that this is going to be very soon for you to see the position of us. And we are going to be positively defiant on that posture until that action is taken. However, we are not going to support the cause of the NDC in the chamber this morning. The cause of the NDC is premised on falsehood, propaganda, and reasons that are not justifiable. Their position might look like ours, but it's not the same.
Inside the chamber, after the Honorable Haruna Idrisu moved the motion, Speaker Bagbin announced that he was going to refer the motion to an ad hoc committee. This did not go down too well with Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, who disagreed during the secondment.
So long as I hold this
Honorable member, you have to withdraw it and apologize.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, no. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy you've given me the permission to speak. Mr. Speaker, one of the cardinals of democracy is to listen to each other, even when we disagree with each other. Mr. Speaker, on Order 106, I am reading to say the intention to refer this to a committee.
Honorable member, resume your seat. Resume your seat.
It is wrong. It cannot be right. Even before the Speaker says it. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion with a clear indication. Any attempt to move this matter to a committee will be a travesty of justice done to the chamber of this House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I direct that all what the minority chief has said, after I have told him to withdraw and apologize, be expunged from the records. I so direct Hansard expunge everything from the record. Minority Chief Whip, you have a difficulty in catching my eye again. We are right to have commenced the debate within the 14 days. But you know the process, and we are dealing with justice. We are not, honorable members, the debate is not ad hominem. We are not debating the person, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. No, it's the position the functions, the duties that we are looking at, not the person.
While the minority is making its efforts, things are worsening. Inflation is up again and now at a whopping 40.4%. But really, is it surprising when toothpaste is now almost 20 cedis and bread that used to sell for 7 cedis is now over 12 Ghana cedis? Well,
the October inflation figure represents a 3.2 percentage point increase over the 37.2% recorded in September 2022. The main drivers for October's inflation rate include food, housing, transportation, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. Per the data, food and non-food inflation also rose to hit 43.7% and 37.8% respectively. Here's the government statistician Professor Samuel Kobneni highlighting the impact of the main drivers on the increase in the overall inflation rate for October 2022.
Consumer Price Index for the month of October 2022 stood at 144.4% relative to 102.9% that was recorded for the same period, October 2021. Given these two indices, year-on-year inflation for the month of October 2022 stood at 40.4%, so indicating a 3.2 percentage point difference between the year-on-year inflation that was recorded for the month of September 2022, which stood at 37.2%. From a food and non-food perspective, we see a sharp increase in food inflation of about 5.9% year-on-year inflation between September 2022 and October 2022, with a rate of October 2022 43.7% relative to 37.8% that was recorded for September 2022. From a non-food perspective, we see a 1 percentage point variation, as we did record 37.8% for October 2022 relative to 36.8% for September 2022. Disaggregating from a domestic and imported inflation perspective, we continue to see a wider variation between imported inflation and domestic inflation, with a difference of about 4.6%.
Commenting on the increase, economist and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bokpeng, reiterated calls for government to relook at some key government policies, such as the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
If you drill down and you look at the cost, the drivers, is the most concrete feedback that the government can ever get on its flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the whole talk about food security, agriculture, agribusiness. This is the proper feedback that food inflation, if you look at it, even imported inflation, fine. You can also look at local food inflation. It is a testament of the lack of efficient implementation of our flagship programs, particularly in the area of Planting for Food and Jobs and One District, One Factory. If you look at the interventions that the country has put in place from 2011, 2012, tree planting, guinea fowl, JIDA, all of that, and then coming through 2017, 2018, 2019, you can see these flagship programs that are expensively arranged, inefficiently implemented, with steep fiscal costs, and yet we don't have corresponding productivity.
The Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, is attributing the frequent increase in inflation to various policies implemented by the government, which is increasing the cost of doing business in the country. President of the association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, argues that policies such as the reversal of the benchmark values policy, the increase in the VAT flat rate, among others, must be checked.
When we say prices of goods and services have gone up, people tend to come and blame the trading community. No, we are not the cause. The policies of state is also not helping. The benchmark values that have been increased is not helping. About 60%. It means that all the goods that we have to bring, we have to pay duties around that value, around that increment that we are facing. And so we are not helping ourselves.
Various sectors are feeling the pressure of the current economic situation. Players in the construction industry are bemoaning the prices of building materials In the last few months, prices of cement have seen an increase of about 35% in less than 40 days. Traders of some of these materials blame the price hike on the free fall of the cedi.
Following the free fall of the Ghanaian cedi, many groups and individuals have expressed concern over the development and how it is impacting their lives and businesses. The local currency has experienced about 50% depreciation, trading at about 13 Ghana cedis to the dollar, despite commencing the year at about 6.5 Ghana cedis for a dollar. Today, we shift our attention to how the depreciation of the Ghanaian cedi is impacting the construction industry. Research firm Fitch Solutions in August 2021 ranked Ghana's construction sector as the 7th largest in sub-Saharan Africa, valued at some $9 billion. The research firm noted that the sector expanded by 14.2% in the first quarter of that year, when over $42 billion worth of active projects were on the docket and at least one-third had broken ground. According to the 2022 budget statement released in November 2021, the construction sector expanded by 8.2% year-on-year in the first 6 months of 2021, but are the narratives same as the cedi is currently reported to be the worst performing currency on the continent. A visit to some trading avenues confirmed the doubling of the cost of building materials. Materials ranging from nails to roofing sheets have all seen an astronomical price surge. Cement, which was selling at 59 Ghana cedis as of June 2022, when the dollar was at 7.6 pesos, is now selling for about 80 Ghana cedis. A ton of iron rods, which used to sell for 6,700 Ghana cedis about a month ago, is now selling at over 9,000 Ghana cedis. Some traders in the Central Business District in Accra tell Citi News that the high cost of materials affects their businesses.
Let's talk about even 1 week ago. We were selling roofing sheet at 600. That is galvanized star at 600. We were selling aluminum at 1,700. Aluzing was 700. Now Aluzing have jumped from 700 to 1,200. Galvanized have jumped from 600 to 1,000. Aluminum have jumped from 1,700 to 2,600, which is too much. If you are buying 100 bundles of galvanized, those who are buying to sell, first you need 60,000. Now you need 100,000. Where are you going to get that to buy? The difference of 40,000. Ever since in my life in this business, I've never seen it.
The turnout as in this time is very poor due to the prices increase. Previously, for the iron rods, the ton was 6,700. Now it's 9,000. You can imagine the price increase. This has enabled the customers to buy. They are not buying. We just come to market, we sit down, then we go home. We don't know what to do. Now, when we come, I don't think it's only the iron rods. Everywhere. The iron rods, that's 16 mm is 70 pieces, 9,000. 12 mm is 120 pieces, 9,000. So, as to the prices there, it's very bad to us. It's very bad. The government has to do something about it for us.
This contractor says he had no option than to adjust the prices of his blocks, although he would accommodate a bargain with his clients provided he won't run at a loss.
Now the cost of production now is very high as compared to the sales. We sell design blocks first time 6 cedis, 8 cedis. Some of them are 10 cedis. But now we're supposed to sell them like 20 cedis. But when a customer comes, he want to buy 500 pieces, you tell him I want to pay 12 cedis. I think you have to collect it. Definitely you get something small. But this is the point, the tax has been increased from 300 Ghana to 1,500 Ghana.
The Ghana Real Estate Developers Association shared their thoughts on how the situation is equally impacting.
It is affecting us at various levels. I think currently we can talk about two major causes to the industry. We are actually saddled with international prices, which are soaring for building materials. That has nothing to do with cedi-dollar relation. So if you bought any building material some time ago and it was $5, today you are paying maybe $6 or $7 or even double. So that one is a completely different ball game altogether. The difficulty with us is that we are in the business of producing something that cannot be done overnight. You need time. You start a project and it can take you years to finish. It could take you months, depending on the magnitude of the project. It can take you years. It can even take a whole term of government. So when you are saddled with this huge, rampant depreciation of our currency, it is almost beyond management.
It doesn't end there. Ride-hailing app drivers have also hit a snag with all the challenges that comes with the increases in fuel prices. And for them, going on strike is the only option available to address their concern. So brace yourselves, as you may not be able to request a ride soon as they embark on their industrial action. The Ghana Online Drivers Union, which boasts of a membership of about 25,000 across the country and serves over 500,000 customers of ride-hailing app companies daily, says it will carry out the industrial action for a week as the platform companies have remained insensitive to their plight. The group argues that despite a spike in the price of fuel since January, riders are still charged low fares while they as drivers pay high service fees. Francis Tenge is the president of the union.
First of all, we are actually hoping that the app companies, that's Uber, Bolt, Yango, Black Ride, Finish, all the apps will increase our base fare to 7 cedis and our short distance will be increased to 20 cedis. And then also we are also trusting that we want to see the destination on all the apps, because as drivers, anytime a request comes, we call the rider and ask, where are you going? Especially on Uber, Yango on short trips and then and the rest. But we want to see the destination. If the place is not safe, we will not go. So we want to see the destination. 2, we want all the riders to be verified. All riders must be verified, not authenticated using the Ghana card. All SIM cards must be verified. 2, we also want to see the price up front. As a driver, if a trip can show to see, okay, this fare is good for me, 30 cedis, the app companies are charging 30 cedis, 40 cedis. If it's not good, I'll decline it. So we want to see the prices up front. And then the last but not the least is that both anytime that a rider cancels a trip, it affects the driver's scores. And the drivers are not happy, so we want that area also to be corrected for us. And then lastly, if the companies are not ready to push the pricing to the riders, then they should reduce the service fee to 10% per trip.
But should this strike fail to get the needed result, what would be the next line of action for these drivers?
Yes, it's called Operation Charge Your Own Fare. Operation Charge Your Own Fare. Currently, some other regions and other drivers are actually implementing that. But we want to, our destiny is in our own hands now. Since it's a free market economy and the government is also not regulating it, and the app companies, there's competition. We have done series of demonstrations, series of strikes. We have petitioned the Office of the President, Office of the Vice President, Ministry of Transport, National Security, Ghana Police, Ministry of Tourism, all the sectors. Everybody has been petitioned, and yet nothing is being done about. Therefore, we are putting our own destiny into our own hands. And if within these 1 week sit-down strike, and if the app companies have not been able to increase their pricing for us and then implemented the features that we're asking for, then we don't have any other options that on the 20th of November at 6 p.m., then the drivers will have to go back to work, and in doing so, they'll have to charge their own fare. They'll call in and negotiate with the driver or the rider. And if the rider they agree, and then the drivers pick them, because that's the only way they can survive. Because a day, you can ask them, they buy fuel not less than 300 Ghana cedis. And if you buy a fuel of 300 Ghana cedis, you work, you gain around 400 Ghana cedis. How much is the 100 Ghana cedis left? You pay service fee. So they are here, they can all verify. And this is not a hidden thing, so somebody you want to sabotage it. It's the truth.
There is more from the transport sector, because members of the Ghana Haulage Transport Owners Association are kicking against the proposed policy by the government that will require separate registration of the deck trailer of their vehicles. The leadership of the association says the policy, if rolled out, will make matters worse for its members, considering the current economic situation in the country.
The owners of these trucks that transport goods within and outside Ghana are lamenting how increasing fuel prices are pushing many of them out of business. The current economic situation, according to them, is making operations difficult, and they insist bringing a new policy regarding the licensing of their vehicles will make matters worse.
Spare pass boy, tie boy, intimate Bibia, you one. Emponema pray, Yabidiafa, or Ganaha. Near Santa Jose, and some balance a carto, and some fine emergency car. And for far as and Papa America will afford. And Timpany Foshi, I know. The 10 in the theatre, you know, say. Yes, Rabbi. Sempo se DBL foreign up at the assignment and up minister and I said drop by anymore. And you're afraid yes, I can no makushi up your home meeting via one sign. They say we more ayashi.
Nitino near Salans Siniduya Nebiaka home. And Tessa, and Niqua said about the Saba, yani Yatu and your French for duty, no, in fact, is shot. Omo kura yika wa ha omo de duru omo krom ansana omo aye duty no omo ye de ne ye na 100% omo so duty no omo ye ne be 20%. Enti na che se omo duty ni sha ana eka no nema na ye de trailer no eba wo na wo ba na dikan ye de age duty ansana ye de omo de ato amaye na how se we ka se yensan ye de yensan theater duty enka wo Sisi transporter na ye wo hanyina no obi ani wo betima fa nema wo se eto diesel wo atima survive akobukina na Mali ana Niger na Africa aba obi ani wo obi aka ncha so betimi wo boa.
The vehicle owners say most of them can no longer transport cocoa beans from rural areas to urban centers for export due to the high cost of diesel.
Tiesi cocoa na ye ntwinde nti aban cocoa ni na guwire mu ana ayapro ye huna mane Ndisa ewe ya wakofa waka wanse yensan kwa lansisi Kana kura mu yentimi entuetu ya honsika Ndi yesre abayin Tuyola diye yen lansisi na yen lansisi china Ndi abayin tiyasi yaso opesika Nyo no benye sika Koko ni gudwe ma ya prono
Ese dola ewa yedia Koko isusu yedi kwa kofa dollars aba Na yese nanado kwa bush Uko eguwa numwa April Ama they say no cow na bia mbeso kwa kofa koko no because of say this the boy the freight about the buy no and so ya e de akwa kofa koko no.
Deputy Secretary of the Ghana Haulage Transport Owners Association tells Citi News the proposed policy when implemented will bring extra cost to members.
They are telling us to register the articulated trailer, not the head per se, but the trailer should have a number different from the trailer the head, which we are saying that no, it will not help us because that one has been operated with the French-speaking countries over the years, but they do it without charges. But ours, we know our people because there are certain things when you sit down and look at it, it will come to being, and the cost component is going to bear with us because road royalty, insurance, income tax, we don't know how they want to implement it. So they suggest to us to take a look at it, but realize that when we accept this, it's going to kill our business. So that is what we are kicking against it. It's not going to help us today. It will never help us tomorrow.
The leadership says it will continue to kick against the proposed policy in subsequent meetings with the Transport Ministry.
But really, with all the challenges facing the economy at the moment, where do we start from? To grow the local economy and industry, the government must lead the way by ensuring it prioritizes sourcing from local businesses and institutes policies to check foreign competition for such entities. Players in the manufacturing sector believe these parameters are critical amid the present economic turmoil and will improve the country's fortunes. At a time when inflation is at an all-time high, utility tariffs are up and the cost of fuel in the country keeps hiking, manufacturers are amongst the worst affected. The cedi has significantly depreciated by about 50% this year and traded at some point last month at about 16 Ghana cedis to the dollar. The fluctuations of the currency poses a major challenge for industries that have a hard time figuring out how to price their products. This led to some locally made commodities like oil seeing their prices on the market more than double. Elizabeth Owusu-Jebi, the public relations officer for Interplast Limited, further highlighted the struggle. She spoke to Citi Business News on the sidelines of the National Consumers' Choice Awards Ghana 2022.
Currently, we all know the country is struggling a bit when it comes to our currency. And for a company like Interplast, we deal with a lot of raw materials that we import from outside, and which means that we have to also change currency to be able to get these raw materials in. And this has brought a lot of toll on our processes, and dealing with suppliers has been hectic. We are spending more money to get the same raw materials that we were getting a couple of months ago. And funny enough, this has to be carried on to the consumer, unfortunately, because we've tried our best to absorb these extra expenses that came in, but at the end of the day, now the consumer has to also come in place.
She believes that government's engagement with local industry is critical to turning the situation around.
As Ghanaians are all saying, it has to do with imports, and if companies like us, Interplast, is able to manufacture products, HDP pipe, same as international standards, and we are exporting to over 22 West African countries. Why not? Why can't we restrict these products that come into the country? Why can't there be policies that Ghanaians or construction companies will patronize what is readily available here? Because if you buy my products, I'm able to expand. I can employ more, take off a lot of the load or pressure with unemployment in the country. So government needs to take the bold step by buying made in Ghana product themselves for all these projects that they get themselves into.
Sharif Abdullah Sharif is the assistant marketing manager at Golden Africa Ghana, which is into manufacturing and exporting of soap, and he believes the government must also prioritize providing businesses like his with incentives over foreign competition.
What we can, I think, look into as well is looking into giving more support into the manufacturing companies locally, as opposed to the ones who are coming and importing finished goods. I think because companies who are in Ghana already are believing in the country and here to stay for the long term. So if the government can look into kind of giving more focus and support to companies who are manufacturing locally. So I don't want to go into details, but like in terms of let's say competition, a lot of tough competition comes in from imported goods, and because of that, many manufacturing firms cannot sustain locally due to a lot of cutthroat competition in the market. And so if we can prioritize the people who are locally and manufacturing locally with the local resources, then I think that can give some kind of space for the industry.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. Citi TV, it's your world.
Well, the government might have picked a cue from all that's happening as the Agric Ministry arranged to transport food from the production centers to Accra to sell at reasonable prices on Friday. As expected, hundreds of individuals thronged the premises of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to buy plantain at cheaper prices. A whole bunch like this for 20 cedis. Why wouldn't there be a crowd?
It's market day, not at Asesewa, but at the premises of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
It's the 11th day of the 11th month, and today is the day the ministry is piloting its Planting for Food and Jobs market. In this market, the ministry contends that you will get food produce at a much cheaper price than you would find on the regular market. The ministry insists that there is so much food in town such that the cost of transportation is what is making you feel the pinch whenever you go to the market. And so the ministry is offering its premises, has erected some tents here where it's going to be selling food to you at a much cheaper price. How cheap will it be? How timely will it be? How much can you get? How convenient will it be? That's what we want to find out for you on the Citi Newsroom. I'm hearing some prices already. Are you here to buy, sir?
Yeah, I'm here to buy.
Okay, where are you coming from?
Coming from Eastern region, precisely after Brie.
Are you doing business in Accra, or you drove all the way from Accra to come and buy from here?
Yes, I came to town and then I have to bypass and then get something.
Okay. So what have you found so far? What are they?
I'm now inspecting the sachets of plantain.
What's your impression so far of the PFJ
Wonderful,
market?
wonderful. This is the best so far the government has instituted.
This is very cheap. Okay. This is very, very cheap as compared to the bunch getting it at 20 Ghana cedis. Is very cheap compared to what I get.
So what you bought for 20 cedis, how much do you typically buy that for on the regular market?
I'm thinking of maybe getting it for like 50 cedis.
The 21?
More. Yes.
So you got it for 30 cedis less?
Yes, yes.
I spoke to someone else who thought the 25 cedis one could be the same at CMB, and so you didn't see the difference.
For me, this is very cheap.
The plantains were sold out a few minutes later. A truck, which was fully loaded, arrived about 2 hours later. There was mad rush for what many considered cheap plantain.
So you ask anybody who is into plantain trading, and he will tell you that if you go to Ogbodu, you are going for this one at 80 Ghana cedis. At best, you are going to get it for 70. But here, you come here, you pick it at 25 Ghana cedis. How much have you saved? You have saved almost 45 Ghana cedis. And if this is not to mitigate your price, then I don't know what else. If you look at this one, you see this plantain? This is cocoa plantain. If you look at this plantain, it is going for any ordinary market. You get it at 40 Ghana cedis. But I say come and pick it at 20, just 20 Ghana cedis. If this is not alleviation of hardship, then I don't know. This one, it's so ridiculous. 15 cedis for this. You ask those who roast plantain, they will make almost more than 100 Ghana cedis from this, because they pick this one and they will sell it to you at 2 cedis. So you calculate it. Yes. Which one? This is for some of us who don't have money. 10 Ghana cedis. 10 Ghana cedis. If you live alone as a bachelor, you going to spend almost 3 or 4 days eating this. That is if you want to eat plantain every day. So please, you have seen it for yourself. Please go and tell the story that we are not here doing PR gimmick. This is not PR gimmick. This is real. The minister means well. We wish we could give it to every Ghanaian, but we need to start slowly.
Let me interact with more people and find out from them. Looks like you've had a good day, sir. How many bunches of plantain have you bought so far?
So far, 3.
You bought 3?
Yes.
But come forward and look into it.
3.
You have receipts?
Yes.
I see. Let me see. So this is 25.
The 25 is this one.
It's a big one.
No. We have 2 different kinds.
Okay, so
this one is the 25.
It looks like a pim.
Yes, it's a pim.
Okay. And then what else do you have?
And this one is a pen 2.
A pen 2.
This one is 20.
This is 20.
So I bought 2.
Okay. So you are doing a pim and paste here next week, and you're pounding fufu, or you're using some for red soon?
Well, our workers send me to come and buy because we are in Agric, and we hear that they are selling this one.
It can meet the ordinary person's pocket. So if the system continues this way, I think the hardships will go down.
Babara Tanko is the PRO for the ministry. He will join us and we'll have a very brief introduction and a quick interaction as well. A market in your premises, your car park. A lot of people don't think it's a really prudent idea, but you have told me that from the minister's interaction in the Western North, he saw more food going to waste while many of us are complaining in the center that there isn't any food at all. So I mean, in the build-up to that, today being the big day, you must have done a lot of work to prove people wrong that this is going to be a great initiative. So what has gone into the preparation for today?
Yes, so a lot of energy has gone into it. First, we needed to do some form of desktop market analysis, see from the farm gate all the way, considering all the barriers you go through getting to the market center, the pricing, and all that, the market space, paying all.
Which farms are these coming from? Are they coming from the government planting for food and jobs farms, or you went to the average Ghanaian, everyday Ghanaian farmer and bought from them and came to sell?
Yes, so this is actually coming from the planting for food and job farms in Western North. Remember, under the cocoa rehabilitation project, we had to bring in some livelihood interventions as cocoa was being cut down. We are replanting. We are supporting them with some labor. Government is paying for the labor to re-establish the cocoa. But we realize that plantain has a short duration to mature. So plantain suckers were actually procured and given to these farmers for free for them to establish so that they can depend on it for their livelihood till the cocoa matures.
Prices ranging from 25, 20, 15, 10. 25, 20, 15, 10. So everybody can afford it. It's very affordable.
This is a very commendable initiative by the government despite the initial challenges, but more needs to be done. Now, rice farmers and processors in the Citi South district of the Ashanti region say they believe the local industry can produce to feed the nation and also help to address over-reliance on imported rice if the government invests in the sector.
Imported rice continued to flood markets across the country. Several interventions by successive governments to get Ghanaians to increase their patronage of locally produced rice have not stopped the importation of the food products. According to figures from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Ghana spent an estimated total of over 6 billion Ghana cedis on the importation of rice from 2017 to 2020. This continues to deny local rice farmers and Ghana's economy the cash that could be invested locally to boost growth. At this rice processing factory at Aguna, entrepreneur and executive director for Western Dedel Group of Companies, Kobina Amofa, proves that local production factories like his are capable.
This color sorting system has the capability of sorting every grain. So that you have pure white here, we have the other colors also clearly sorted. We have it. It's quite expensive, but we have it. From here, the rice is good, but Ghanaians continue to say that they want very nice rice. And because of that, we have this integrated water polisher that uses air and water to still polish, to give it a very glossy appearance. So we also have this one here. So after here, then the process is completed.
He maintains that packaged rice from this factory can compete globally, but emphasizes the government has a big role to play in helping Ghana's rice industry.
Lack of government policy over the years. I think government policy has over-concentrated on smallholder farmers to the detriment of large-scale farming. And because of that, the smallholder farmers have their own challenges. Most of them are not educated. They are not able to understand the agronomy and all those stuff. Their productivity is extremely low. And because of that, we have found ourselves in this challenge. Going forward, I think government should be bold to venture into large-scale farming, to help people to venture into large-scale farming. That's the way to go. We always say that when you go abroad, one person can plant about 20,000 acres. You have been saying this. Why can't we do it in our country?
The government, under the One District, One Factory program, partnered with a group to help address post-harvest losses rice farmers in this area faced for years. The group wants investors to take advantage of the local rice sector to help address unemployment.
Let me all talk about employment. It's very, very key. To find all these 9 million, 17 million I'm talking about, it's also translate into employment. If we're able to do 2,000 acres, we can employ about 500 people. It's the truth. Because from the farming to the factory to the processing, direct and indirect. This what I'm talking about is direct people, because the farming, you need people who work at the farm, people who come and process it. We have the processing part, we have the packaging, we have the storage, we have the drivers. They are all direct employment.
The entrepreneurs want the government to go ahead and ban the importation of rice.
So yes, we can do it. And we are urging government not to back off. The Importers Association will threaten them. Yes, let us go hungry. No one has developed in surplus. You develop in shortage. So you should not be threatened. I hear them, there will be, it's okay. Banku is there, Aquile is there. You substitute for some short time and you should be able, Nigeria has done it. Ghana should be able to do it.
Farmers continue to face a huge financing challenge, especially from local banks who are reluctant in supporting the agri sector. Food and Agriculture Minister, at a recent engagement with journalists in Kumasi, revealed a bill will soon be passed to compel local banks to support the agri sector.
There's no support from the banks into our agriculture. I know there. And now, sir, show me can so banksy. I feel be a profit. See a pan omoje. If it's almost this kind of America, China, no other tongue, no more in your home. Yeah, farmers, no see it to me so much. And the processors, no see it to me so much. They to me, I didn't say, yeah, say farm credit card, the by a more. Oh, Kagana, say Kamo. Oh, but a number, and tell Madia, a before swarm, a dimra, a bayajuma.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, seems to agree, as it is calling for clear policy direction on the importation of rice and chicken into the country. The association maintains this will help promote self-reliance.
Local industries have contributed a significant amount to Ghana's GDP, but these industries are fraught with quite a number of problems, such as limitation to financing and the threat of competing with foreign industries. Local industries are competing with high inflation and taxes. These developments threaten the growth of local industries in Ghana, but as these challenges manifest across the broader business avenue, the Association of Ghana Industries, as an umbrella body, seeks to rally operators of businesses together to forge a stronger frontier of sustaining businesses. Speaking at the Accra Regional Annual General Meeting under the theme Leveraging Private-Public Collaboration to Accelerate Sustainable Industrial Development, focus on investment, funding sources and opportunities, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industry, Chonam Clarence Akpelo, called on policymakers to present a favorable policy which would boost local production and curb the influx of the importation of products such as rice and chicken onto the Ghanaian market.
When we met the president, he talked about import substitution. The fact that they would like to promote made in Ghana product for the export market. We've heard this all these years. Our prayer is that for the first time they will take it serious. We have seen what happened in Nigeria when they banned the importation of rice. It was difficult for them, extremely difficult. In fact, they insulted their president. But just 2 years down the line, Nigeria has achieved self-sufficiency in rice production. So now if you go to Nigeria, every rice you see is produced in Nigeria. Ghana spent over billions of dollars every year to import rice and frozen chicken that have been frozen for several years. whilst we can always do chicken. So we are asking for government to look at the policy that allow for free importation of finished product, especially products that we have capacity to produce locally.
On his part, the National Treasurer of the Association, Raphael Aiti, urged industry players to commit to building a resilient business.
AGI, as we advocate, as we discuss, as we promote locally made stuff, let's not just do it for the niceness of today, but let's look into the future. We may ask, how many people know Datsun 120Y? Okay, Datsun 120Y. Today's Nissan, today's Toyota came from somewhere. Okay, so I want to encourage all of us that whatever decisions that we are taking to consolidate our business, we shouldn't just look at it to survive for today or tomorrow or the day after, but let's look at us becoming the real black stars of Africa who are leading the transmogrification of Africa as a whole on a sustainable basis. Let's involve our family members in a decisive way. Let's involve staff who are committed to ensure that our businesses work in a sustainable way.
Well, at least it appears the government is making some efforts to regulate importation in the country, as Ghana will in the short to medium term review the standards and requirements used for the importation of goods into the country. This, according to the Ghana Standards Authority, is crucial to cut down the number of goods imported into the country, even as Ghana takes steps to scale up manufacturing and production.
Ghana's imports for 2021 were estimated at over $22 billion, a situation which has been affecting the strength of the local currency. The Ghana Standards Authority has stated that it will take steps to reduce importation of goods into the country by banning goods which do not meet some specific standards and also improving on the quality of goods produced in the country to increase patronage of these goods and also to enable locally produced goods have access to international markets with their improved standards. According to the Ghana Standards Authority, its pivotal role in the nation's quality infrastructure cannot be overemphasized, and it will continue to foster partnership in improving Ghana's quality infrastructure. Professor Alex Dodu spoke to Citi Business News at the sidelines of the Ghana Standards Authority and BSI Standards Partnership Pilots launch.
His Excellency the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his address to the nation, mentioned several things, including the review of standards. Indeed, His Excellency and his cabinet has already approved Ghana's national quality policy, and His Excellency the President has kindly given assent to the Ghana Standards Authority Act. So these are new tools in the trade, and indeed what the President said was to give backing to the rapid transformation agenda. So this standards partnership program that the Ghana Standards Authority, the African Organization for Standardization, as well as the British Standards Institution are embarking upon with our counterparts in Rwanda is just to improve trade. What we are saying is that if you don't have standards, you cannot trade. If you don't trade, you don't have an industry. If you don't have an industry, you have no jobs. No standards, no trade. No trade, no industry. No industry, no jobs. How do we realize it in our country and on our continent? The moment I took over as president of the African Organization for Standardization, it became obvious that Ghana is hosting the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area. So now tariffs are gone. But once tariffs go, barriers, technical barriers, where people will say, yeah, you're not paying duty, but we don't like your standards, become prominent, and people use that, countries use that to stop trade. I have spoken to my brothers and sisters, the heads of the standards bodies in Africa. Nigeria is on board, Kenya is on board, all the big guys, including South Africa.
Small and medium-sized enterprises are critical to the growth of every economy. What, however, appears to be a challenge for them is access to adequate funding. Stakeholders have thus urged investors to provide support for the youth who are into environmentally friendly SMEs that help boost employment opportunities for many Ghanaians.
Over the years, Stakeholders have underscored the need for investors to support small-scale and medium enterprises, SMEs, particularly those involved in environmentally friendly enterprises, otherwise known as green businesses. They believe this will help empower the youth and significantly reduce the high rate of youth unemployment in the country. In recent times, the harsh economic situation facing the country has crippled many businesses, and stakeholders believe measures must be put in place to protect the already existing ones, with special attention on SMEs. Industry players believe involving the youth and supporting SMEs is critical to national development, especially when it has the capacity to generate employment. Speaking on the sidelines of a 3-day SMV Green Investment Forum in Kumasi, Chief Executive Officer for Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, urged the youth in SMEs to well position themselves to attract support from investors. He believes this will improve the fortunes of their businesses.
The importance of the youth, even in adopting SDG compliant policies and SDG compliant businesses, is very critical. So as we speak about SMEs and funding for SMEs, we must make a deliberate effort to ensure that the youth are part of that whole conversation and that they understand what it means, because most of the SMEs that are going to come out from the youth bracket. So that's the importance of connecting the youth with the SMEs and the Green Project.
The Senior Incubation and Acceleration Advisor for SMV Green Project, Genevieve Parker-Trim, says her outfit is seeking to protect small-scale and medium enterprises in the face of the current economic challenges in the country.
We are engaging different stakeholders, the SMEs themselves, financial institutions, public agencies, private sector. And the objective is to have discussions on how we can promote investment opportunities for SMEs, especially the early stage SMEs. Oftentimes, it's easier for the growing SMEs to find investments for their businesses, but very early stage SMEs struggle. And so we want to explore how we can promote investments for early stage SMEs.
The Green Project manager for SMV Ghana, on his part, stressed the need for SMEs to learn from industry players.
As it has been showed in the presentation, it is a great opportunity to have a look at the people that is around. You have high-level experts, you have many experienced persons from the government entities, AGI, GEA, but also from various parts of the ecosystem, the SMEs ecosystem, that can share their ideas, their innovation, but also the challenges, the solutions during 3 days. This is the big opportunity that is the Green Investment Forum.
Finally, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, NPRA, says plans are underway to prosecute some organizations that refuse to pay the pensions contributions of their employees as mandated by law. The NPRA says all efforts made to ensure that these organizations do the needful did not yield the needed results, and so the only option is to prosecute them.
Section 96 of the Pension Act 766 mandates employers in both the formal and the informal sector to pay the SNIT and the Tier 2 of their employees. Regrettably, some organizations in the Bunu East and Half regions are flouting the law by not paying the SNIT and Tier 2 contributions of their employees. The zonal manager of the National Pension Regulatory Authority for the Bunu East and Half regions, William Ohineje, speaking at the end of year stakeholders meeting held in Sunyani, urged the various trustees to furnish the authority with information on organizations breaching the law by not paying the pension contributions of their employees so that they will be prosecuted.
Hardly do the other trustees send their defaulters list. It is based on this list that we can also take action. Because if you don't bring these issues to us, how will we know that this particular institution is not compliant or this particular institution is compliant? Not until you bring these defaulters list to us. So we would still plead that at least once the information gets to you, let us try as much as possible to make sure the defaulters list are brought to us. Before we can prosecute, we need to get evidence. What shows that indeed they are recalcitrant? A letter need to be sent to them, demand notices, and then later the warning letter if nothing works out. But one thing that we also realize is that sometimes you send the letter 1, 2, as soon as they see the demand notice, they will start complying.
Some of the stakeholders shared their thoughts on what could be done to ensure organizations comply with the law to pay the pensions, especially tier 2 of their employees.
One other challenge I had was that some of the employers themselves, they would deduct the workers, but they don't pay. So we had a case where deductions were going on from that company, but as at the time we registered them, one of them was on retirement. So when he now wants his tier 2, there is no record. So what happened to the manager who was deducting that money? Meaning that he deducted this employee, refused to pay it to a trustee. Senate can only pay the first year. So if a case of this nature is presented to the national pension, the law should come in for them to know that NPRA exists.
That's why I also bring, apart from NPRA, you're also encouraging that our trustees time to time visit the premises and educate people. Like you said, sometimes some people are working for churches, they are securities, they are this and this and this and that. And these people sometimes become very vulnerable after they have gone for retirement. Because some of these things are not done in most churches, and they think that it's work of God.
Well, that will be all for today's edition of your most watched business show in the country, the Business Weekly Show here on Citi TV. If you missed any part of the show, you can find the full tape on YouTube by just searching Business Weekly. And for more business stories, please check out our website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for tuning in. Let's connect on Twitter at @Ogbodu. Catch you same time next week. Stay safe, stay informed. Bye-bye.